is Morley Guest, which I climbed a few days ago. Practice climb for Snowdon, which I successfully ascended 2 days later. But here is Llandecwyn Church. It's right on this basically elevated position overlooking Dramatic Bay. I'll just go just over that wall. There's a parking area for visitors for this very pleasantly situated church. And most of these gravestones date from the early 20th century and also the 19th century. The church is open, so we'll see what's inside. There it is. Crutch roof, is that? Or I don't know how old this church is, but it's a popular church for the local photographer when he makes his Christmas postcards. Our actual walk up here where the tarmac road ends, and it goes to a track which is unsuitable for motors. But I parked my car just there, and there's several visitors to that church. It's quite a fairly breezy day, but there might be some audio problem with its camera. There's a continuation of this track, and there's an excellent view from the track over the Penrhyn Drift. The Llyn Peninsula is slightly misty today, and Snowdon is cloud-capped. This is quite pleasant semi-mountain scenery, and slightly, of course, disfigured by the power lines, but that's of course the comes with the 20th and 21st century living. Getting towards the end of the August, so the purple heather and the gorse is coming out quite nicely. And up there, although it looks like a mountain, it's actually under 1,000 feet above sea level. About maybe 3/4 mile from where I parked the car, and over there is a lake, Llyn, Tecwyn, Uchaf. But it's got a small dam, but just came down that track. I'll be going around a forest at the far end of this lake, and then returning on a footpath around the right hand side of the lake. Still a little bit of sunshine. There are a few clouds around, but this is a pleasant lakeside path. And up there, the broken crags of that, well, it looks like a mountain. But, and it is in appearance. Continuing along this pleasant lake. In Tecwyn, Uchaf, there's another lake of that size. That name, I should say. It's lower down, about over a mile away, but Llyn, Tecwyn, Uchaf, the lower lake. It's smaller than this. This could be classified as a mountain lake. It's it's got these mountain type hills on the one side, and it's slightly isolated. It's away from actual roads. You can hear the water rippling along the edge of the lake. This is the end of the lake. It's quite a sizable lake. There's the footpath. And I'll be entering the forest very shortly. It's actually part of the Welsh coastal path. Now, just as I suspected, this forest, since I was last here about 3 or 4 years ago, has been logged, or part of it has been logged. And of course that gives a great advantage, is that it opens up the views. I'm looking at Llyn back over there, and I'll be going around this forest trail for, at least 2 miles, and or 3 miles before I reach a little way into the walk. And in the distance there is Manad Mawr, which is the mountain above Llyn. This is all continues the Welsh coastal path, although of course we're not actually following the coast. It's about a mile over to the left. There's Llyn back on telescopic, and down below, just outside the village of Llandecwyn, is a big house, I think, that probably once belonged to a quarry owner. Probably over halfway around the forest road. And these logging company have left some of these pines in place, and looks like the new plantation on the left there, but they're grown into quite stately trees. So of course then you may notice down there's some trees that have been blown over. They are subject to the winter gales. A shot of the stately pines. Now there's a road junction here, or forest road junction. Hopefully, I'm fairly sure that this is the way to go. I notice some overhead lines here which probably serve some cottages which are a bit further. Isolated cottage. It's, if you like solitude, then this is the place to be. There is someone at home. Of course it is a bank holiday weekend, and there's a good view there of Llyn back. There's Manad Mawr on the right. Just off the track, about a couple of 100 yards from that cottage, is this quite nice little lily pond. Well, a few natural flowers there. It's unfortunately there's no place to sit down, but it would be a nice place to have my I just noticed a little frog there. It's where I leave the official Irish track and go down there. That, judging by the tire marks in this track, the occupant of that house probably uses that Irish road when they come up from the road. Okay, I'll see how well trodden this is. Some of these paths are kept in fairly good shape. This is the season of brambles and ferns. And of course, the winter gales have done their share, but I think the footpath I don't think I'm going to have too much trouble. I think people have been along here. It is an actual right of way. So, and I think, well, this looks like I'm coming into open ground. So, just this little bit of rough patch, proof positive that this is a right of way, although it's certainly seen better days. Some of these tracks are probably more passable in the winter months when the grass has died, the sun has come out. The footpath was passable, and so people have been along here. 100 years ago this was probably served those cottages further back, and they could walk along here when the time came to attend church or chapel on a Sunday. The grass is roughly 2 or 3 feet high here, this rough grass, and one hopes that there's no hidden ditches or water-filled potholes. It's not particularly warm, but it's warm enough for flies to be a problem. That's where the broad-brimmed hat comes in handy. The last 150 yards of that footpath was a quad, the farmer's quad bike trail. So that wasn't too bad, but here's the back on the forest track. I made nearly a full circle. Now if I can find a place to have a quick break, because I'm roughly about 3/4 of the way through this walk, had a view of those hillside pines from the spot where I had my break, rock, and of course never too far away from the pylons, because I think less than 3 miles away is the Tecwyn nuclear power station. Well, I go around this track now and down to a road, and then another footpath to the lake, and then back to the car. There's a line of pylons running rather incongruously across this semi-remote farmland under the northern Rhinogs. I continue up this track for another, well, quarter of a mile, and I should be then on a tarmac road for a short way. You leave the track coming from the forest, and here's this very quiet tarmac road that leads down this valley down to the lower lake, and it just serves basically just maybe a couple of farms and maybe 3 cottages, but quite pleasant walking, of course. To come out again, it's quite a pleasant late afternoon. There's no footpath sign, but pretty sure the footpath to the lake goes over there. In 3 days' time, the first of the traditional autumn months will be with us, September. So the sun is starting to cast longer shadows, and there's a touch of autumn light in the air. This footpath looks in pretty good condition. I think about half a mile I'll be at the lake. It was a rather hit and turn off just below. Luckily I spotted it, and quite a clear footpath, and it's obviously used by walkers. And there is the upper lake, and the view looking at the mountains on the other side. Restricted sunshine now. There's the Llyn Bach in the distance, and the look-alike mountains. This footpath, people have walked through here, but luckily, otherwise it would be difficult to see the way. But proof positive that I'm on the right tracks to use an out pump, because there's the style. There's a picture of the islands crossing the lake, and we just go through these ferns. Walking along the side of the lake, but here's a brief respite across this beach. Well, you can see it's not really a footpath to be recommended in late summer, but it would probably be no problem in the winter or early spring. The wind has died down now. It's well, it's still a bit of a breeze, but of course there's the 20th century works of man. So okay, all difficulty over. I'm back to the track and onto the car.